Now ahead of game week 1, I've asked artificial intelligence to build me the best draft for FPL game week 1, and this is what it's come back with. Now before we dive into today's video, I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys for the support that you have shown on the channel over the course of pre-season. We've managed to hit at kind of, before season or start of season goal of 15,000 subscribers. You've absolutely smashed it out of the park, so thank you very much for your continued support on this channel. It means the absolute world to me. Of course, now we're just going to keep growing and growing and growing and hopefully hit that 20k mark at some point. So yeah, if you do enjoy the content on the channel, like I said, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it honestly means the absolute world to me, and I love making content for you guys. And when we hit these goals, I'm just feel really, really grateful for the support that you guys support the channel and just give me. Honestly, means the world to me. Before we dive into the AI draft itself, the draft has come from Fantasy Football Hub. Their AI tool has built its best team for game week 1. But what I wanted to show you was the My Team feature over on Fantasy Football Hub. Of course, if you want to go and check this out, there will be a link in the description and you can get your team rated by their AI tool for completely free. All you have to do is just import your team with a screenshot, it uploads it, it then gives you your prediction rating. So this is my my latest draft that I covered in yesterday's video. Obviously, I'm going to click Optimize Team to see what rating it actually gives me. And you can see here, I've got a 90% team rating. It's probably due to Tarkowski and his potential injury and his minutes being a little bit low. That's probably kind of, not really helped this draft. But it's a big fan of Mohamed Salah, one of the top scoring players for match day 1 as well. Big fan of Palmer as well. Anderson could be a great pickup as well if you're looking for kind of, one of those defensive contributions midfielders as well. But overall, I'm really happy with my side. But like I said, I just wanted to showcase you guys the My Team feature over on Fantasy Football Hub. It's a really, really good feature. It lets you plan ahead for weeks ahead. It's just honestly a great tool, and I think everybody should be using it, especially of course with you being able to just get a free team rating to give you a little bit of feedback as well, because sometimes you just need it. And like I said, it gives you a score, it lets you know which players are good, which ones are bad as well. And like I said, it's got that optimization feature to potentially give you some transfer kind of solutions or problems as well to any issues you might be having ahead of game week 1. Like I said, link in the description to go and get your team rated for free by AI. Okay, let's not waste any more time. Let's take a look at how the AI has selected its defense then. Starting off first with the goalkeeper pairing of Bergen and Petrovic. The rotation between Bournemouth and Brentford is actually pretty nice, to be honest. So I think the AI has probably been a little bit smart here. Of course, if he wants to play the bench boost at any point, it is going to have 4.5 million goalkeepers, should I say. So yeah, I think it's gone quite well with the goalkeeper selection there. I think maybe Flecken might be a bit better than Petrovic, just because obviously there's been so much kind of change within that Bournemouth backline that they might not be as good as they were last year. And obviously we saw how well Flecken scored, so maybe that'd be the only change I'd make there. But I think goalkeeper wise, he's pretty much got it, I would say, decent, to be honest, with the 4.5 million selections. Heading to the back line, though, this is where things do get a little bit interesting. Now, I don't mind Cucurella. I think the Chelsea fixtures are exceptionally good. The 11-5 data is looking good for projected clean sheets as well. So I like that as a pickup. I think 6 million is probably a little bit steep for what he offers. I think if he came in at 5.5, I definitely think he would have been in more people's teams. But overall, I don't mind it. Like I said, with the fixtures, of course, he is a very attack-minded defender as well. The big question is whether or not they're going to continue to do what they did in the Club World Cup, where Cucurella played a more defensive role, Reece James slotted into that midfield, and they pushed Gusto up and used the right wing rather than the left wing. Maybe that was just for the teams that they were playing in the Club World Cup, or maybe that's going to be something going forward this season. So that might be one to potentially monitor. I don't like Milenkovic as a pick. The reason why, I much prefer Murillo. His defensive contribution numbers were insane last season. And like we said, it does just feel like a bit of a broken metric we need to be exploiting. And for me, for paying the same price, I would rather get the one that has, like from last season, has the higher probability of course going and getting those defensive contributions and is the more active out of the two of the defenders. That for me just feels like the right play. So I would easily just switch Milenkovic out here and I'd have Murillo in my personal opinion. Romero could be a good option, a really, really good option at 5 million. Of course, we know about the Spurs fixtures. You're going to have to rotate around match day 2, but Palace play Forest in match day 2, so I imagine that's what the AI would be thinking with that one. I think Sunderland play Burnley as well in match day 2, and obviously you could just put in Silt, I believe it's pronounced, if you really wanted to obviously play one of those. But Romero probably is going to be the more active out of the two of him and Van de Ven. Van de Ven's numbers last season for defensive contributions were pretty minimal. Romero, a lot better. Of course, the problem with Romero is his kind of, nature, the way that he plays the game. A little bit aggressive, can lose his head a few times, so probably going to be a few cards over the season that might, of course, downplay him as an asset. But maybe one to consider at that 5 million price point if you're not convinced by Van de Ven. Of course, Udogie not going on the pre-season tour as well for Spurs, so probably rules him out as an option. Munoz, I'm a big fan of. I think it was 10 or 11 clean sheets for Palace last season, 10 goal involvements as well. The guy is just built for Premier League football. He's so good. He pretty much plays as a winger a lot of the time and is one of those defenders that just massively passes the eye test. He needed to get a price increase up to 5.5 million. The question is, though, is he going to score as well as those defenders with, of course, just the contribution points around that 5.5 million? We're yet to see, obviously, as the season plays out, but I still don't mind Munoz as a pick, to be honest. I think you could very easily play him against Chelsea if you really wanted to. He's that good a defender, so yeah, I'm a big fan of Munoz. Overall, I think with a few tweaks, the defence definitely could be there, so I don't think it's a bad start from the AI, to be honest. Okay, heading into the midfield, and this is where maybe the AI's got it wrong, or maybe is onto something here. It hasn't gone for any Mohamed Salah, and as we'll see in a few minutes as well, probably no Haaland. Let's just say no Haaland, all right? This is where it's put all its money. It's whacked it into the midfield. It's gone for Bruno Fernandes. Interesting choice. I personally don't like United's opening set of fixtures. I think, they're playing some of the strongest teams within the league. Obviously, their form from last year was abysmal. Bruno was probably their only good player out of a very, very disappointing side. Now, I know they've added Cunha and Mbeumo, and they're probably going to be a better attack. But they've still not got an out-and-out number 9. So goals are still, I think, going to be a problem for that main striker position. And it's not like all of a sudden overnight that this United team are just going to be a better side. So for me personally, I think Bruno will probably be an option this season, given how well he scores defensive contribution-wise and still looks to be on penalties. But I just worry with those opening set of fixtures whether it is the right time to start with him or start with assets that have better fixtures and are going to play decent minutes. And then, of course, you can move and pivot to the Manchester United players when their fixtures do turn. That seems like the most sensible play to me, so I'm going to disagree with the AI, but definitely interesting to see that Bruno is very high up on this list. Maybe those defensive contributions within the Fantasy Football Hub's tool potentially are suggesting he's going to be a really good scoring player. Saka's up next, of course, with the armband for this team. Again, United haven't signed anybody defensively that I'd be like, yep, they're going to make that defence so much better. They're one of the worst sides for XG conceded for large parts of the season. That doesn't even just include Ten Hag. That also includes Almiron as well. So I still think they're definitely a fixture to attack. I'm going to attack United, especially over the opening parts of the season until they find their feet with their new signings. And yeah, I think, Saka could be one of those assets that I've not really spoke about within my drafts, but maybe one that I potentially need to be tinkering around with. He's the second highest predicted point scoring midfielder within the Fantasy Football Hub model. So there's a reason that they've selected him ahead of Mohamed Salah, only 0.5 points behind what Salah's predicted points are as well. So maybe he could be one. Maybe my concern is, with no penalties, is that going to make him less of an asset? Only 6 goals last season. Obviously spent large parts of the year out injured though. But you feel maybe if they've got that out-and-out number 9, his returns in terms of assists are probably going to go up. But with no penalties, they come down a little bit. So it's kind of finding that right balance. And is he going to be justifying that 10 million price tag? I'm not so sure on that one. Next up is going to be Cole Palmer. I think, again, with Chelsea's fixtures, this one makes sense. I think a lot of people have Cole Palmer in their drafts for that exact reason. So that one makes sense to me. Declan Rice, I think, could also be a decent addition as well at 6.5. Again, did okay on the defensive contribution numbers. Not amazing, though. I think a lot of people were expecting a lot more from his numbers. They weren't outstanding, but he is one of those players that does take corners, can get involved with goals. So he might be that perfect blend of course, some defensive contributions, some attacking actions, and putting them together and creating a decent score. He could be one of those players that does that, and at 6.5 million, could be a steady Eddie. But I think you've got some other big hitters around that 6.5 that I think will be better options as well. Semenyo, actually, we covered in the FPL Experts video earlier in the week, and I was a big fan of this guy, to be honest. And I think if you can get round the Liverpool away fixture, which unfortunately the AI team hasn't been able to do, I think he could be a cracking asset, to be honest. The Bournemouth attacking numbers from last season in terms of XG created were great. Obviously, the 11-5 predicted goal model as well, I believe, has them 6 over the opening 6 game weeks. I just think they're a great attack, and they've not lost anybody in the attacking side, so I think they're going to be still a really potent attacking unit. Semenyo as well picked up 19 goal and contributions last season. I think that's massively going under the radar. The guy absolutely loves to shoot as well. In terms of how the draft is lined up so far, though, I think it's an interesting selection of midfield. I mean, I want to know what you guys think of it in the comments, but yeah, for me so far, very interesting team selection. And finally, let's finish up with the 2 strikers then. We're going to start off first with Watkins. Now, I'm a big fan of this one, and I believe he was in the first AI draft we covered on the channel as well. Now, I'm a big fan of this one. I've been tinkering around with a few drafts with Watkins in as well, because I think he could be an absolutely stellar option at 9 million. I'm filming this on Monday, and we're still waiting for the Gokeres price. If he comes in at 9 million as well, he could be a really nice pivot point around game week 6, game week 7 when the Arsenal fixtures do turn. You could, of course, bring him in for Watkins. Villa's fixtures are great from match day 1 to match day 6 or 7 or 8. I think they only play one of last season's top 6 within their opening 8 fixtures. So definitely a team to be targeting over those periods as well, because they're going to score goals. Watkins, despite a disappointing season, still managed to get 16 goals and 8 assists. Like, the guy plays very good minutes, scores goals, could be on penalties. So I'm a big fan of that one from the AI selection. Visser, not so much. We don't really know what's going to be happening with him. Is he going to be remaining at Brentford? Is he going to get that move through to Newcastle that he is pushing for? We don't know. And with players like that, I try just to avoid them at the start of the season, because of course the transfer window is still open while the game has started. So you're going to be in a period where maybe come game week 2, he gets that move, but they've also signed Benjamin Sesko, and he could be second choice behind him, and that's it. You've lost a 7.5 million asset, and it just feels like, okay, now I've got to plan. I've now got to waste a transfer to get in a player that I could have just avoided. And it's not like they've got like amazing fixtures either, Brentford, that I'd be like, oh, 100% I want a Visser, I want a Sharda. They've not quite got those fixtures. So for me personally, I don't like the Visser selection. Fleming on the bench, I've spoke to a few Burnley fans, there's a few at work, and they were pretty, kind of complimentary around his championship performance. Whether or not he's got that ability to step into the Premier League, I don't know. Burnley as well were not a prolific attack within the Premier League, in the championship last season. They're probably not going to be in the Premier League either. I think there's plenty of better options for me personally. I'd rather go for a Joel Perreault. At least I know, Leeds can score some goals. So yeah, I probably would avoid Zion Fleming for me. But overall, the AI team, again, I think probably the jury's out. No Haaland or no Salah feels very, very ballsy to me, and I'm not a big fan of it. I think you need to have at least one of them. I like the addition of Saka. I think he could be a good player, but overall, it just doesn't quite feel right to me. Let me know what you think of this team in the comments section. Do you think the AI's got it right, or do you think it's got it wrong? Of course, if you've got any questions about your team as well, get them in the comments, as we'll try to answer as many as we possibly can. But thank you for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 1.